Defying Justin Trudeau's orders to clear the U.S.-Canada bridge by midnight. And their movement is spreading worldwide, sparking protests in France and all the way to New Zealand. The message and the movement has clearly spread not just beyond Ottawa, but beyond Canada. You're a trucker from the United States of America, and this message is resonating to people here in the United States, to people in Europe as well. So what is it? What is it? On a more global scale, what is the message that's resonating? What do truckers across the world hope to accomplish?
Well, I appreciate your comment. We hope to accomplish solidarity and to show our Canadian brethren that we stand with them, we stand firm with them. The message is simple. It is a freedom of choice that is really the biggest thing that needs to be understood. To be misheard or not heard at all is by far one of the worst things that you can do to a people as a whole. And I think once you take that ownership as far as being the leader of your country and to actually show some type of care, some type of empathy to them, you will get the side of the people to actually go along smoother. This is a peaceful protest. I think people mistake that for something else. There's others on the other side that have shown, hostility towards these guys. And I have to say publicly, stop. If you don't understand, just stop and ask. Talk to a trucker. We are the ones that help put food on these tables. We help run America. We run Canada. We do this day in and day out, man. We go away from our families, our friends, and we help out the countries that need the biggest support with these products. This is not the time to shun us. This is the time to hear us. So we say Freedom Convoy 2022, America supports you. All right, that's all I'm going to say to you Canadians out there. We support you.
Carl, really well said. Let me stick with you real quick. Do you believe there'll be an American convoy, and would you be a part of it?
I've heard rumblings. And I'm down for whatever. I'm an American through and through. I understand that it's God, country, and family. So anything that's going to object to my freedoms, I'm going to go against that. I go against tyranny of government, and I'm here to stand firm with anybody that is looking for freedom. Like I said, I appreciate choice. And Will, I want to say I'm proud of you, man, because I've seen you from your rise from ESPN. Excuse me. I've seen you on your rise, and you've always been well outspoken. And I just want to say, keep doing what you're doing. And thank you, Fox News, for having me on.
On the Canadian side, what's your sense of where this is going? I mean, if you look at the demands of the convoy, they remain clear as they were on day one. And before I have you answer, here are the demands of the convoy. Terminate vaccine passports and other contact tracing programs, eliminate the vaccine mandates, and stop the divisive rhetoric, which we still, of course, see from Justin Trudeau. So you see those demands, you see the situation. Where does this go, Harold?
It doesn't go anywhere until those demands are met. We've been clear right from the start. You're correct, and we know that that's what's been harming our society for almost 2 years now, and we need it to go. We need to be able to discuss with doctors, with lawyers, what's been all going on. And he's ignoring us. He's been calling us racist, bigots. The support we're getting from convoys that have started around the world has been humbling and mind-boggling.
Leader of the opposition.
So I have a question for the Prime Minister, because he's talking about vaccinations. We all support vaccines, and 90%, as he has said, 90% of Canadians have been vaccinated. Yep. Is he suggesting that unless 100% of Canadians are vaccinated, he's not even going to consider opening up and lifting restrictions? Yeah. Is that what he's trying to tell us? 90% is good for us, and I would say other countries in the world who have less vaccine uptake. Is he saying he's not going to do anything until 100% of Canadians are vaccinated? Really?
The right honourable.
Need more people to continue to step up, get vaccinated, get their kids vaccinated, get the booster shot. That's how we stay safe.
Across the country, provincial governments are listening, and they are presenting plans. So the Chief Public Health Officer of Canada, as well as provincial health officers, have all said it's time. 90% of Canadians are vaccinated, so I'm asking the Prime Minister when he will stop traumatizing Canadians and give us a plan to live our lives with COVID. COVID. What is the threshold? What day will he lift the restrictions?
The Honourable.
Vaccinations. When Canadians get vaccinated.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians have been misled. Our travel restrictions are not symmetrical with the United States. Our requirements for an arrival PCR test is the only one in the G7, and the minister knows that. PCR arrivals testing is wasteful, it's punitive, and it's ineffective. Canadians want to know, what day will this government drop these ineffective and costly travel restrictions?
I want to bring my colleague back to earth. We are in the middle of a pandemic. Speaker, our government will do what is needed to protect our health.
Thanks.
Speaker, traffic over the Blue Water Bridge, which is a direct link to my riding of Lambton-Kent Middlesex, is backed up because this Liberal government won't lift the mandates. Our Prime Minister's divisive words only add fuel to the fire and encourage the blockades. There's tractors parked out on the 401 right now. The Prime Minister is doing nothing to stop the division he's created and give hope to our nation that is beautiful but weary. Mr. Speaker, what is the Prime Minister doing today to end the mandates and restore Canada's supply chains?
The Honourable Minister.
These Conservatives, for 2 weeks, have been providing excuses for law breakers, have been providing justification for saying people are above the law. You know, they may have changed their leader, but they continue to flip-flop, Mr. Speaker. This Conservative Party must condemn blockades and call on all of them to go home so we can restore order in our supply chain.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't hear an answer from the Prime Minister. Canada has one of the highest vaccination rates in the world. Over 90% are vaccinated, as the Prime Minister has said himself. Does the Prime Minister expect 100% of Canadians to be vaccinated to start to think about presenting a reopening plan for our economy and for ending extreme measures? The question is clear. Is that the Prime Minister's objective, to wait for 100% of Canadians to be vaccinated to start giving people hope again? Yes or no? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. The Conservative Party of Canada has spent the past 2 weeks approving and encouraging these protests across Canada. The Conservatives were their biggest spokespeople. They even helped to fundraise for these blockades.
Over the span of just a few years, Trudeau has turned a nation long famous for Molson and sled dogs and niceness into a relentlessly punitive surveillance state. People have long whispered, in dead seriousness, that Justin Trudeau is the biological son of Fidel Castro. You could laugh it off, but now it's becoming pretty easy to believe. Trudeau has used systematically COVID to short-circuit democracy in Canada and to end organized Christianity there. Canadians can no longer travel freely within their own country. They can no longer return to their own country at certain parts. Pastors have been imprisoned for holding church services. The unvaccinated can be sent to jail for buying certain products in stores. In the town of Gatineau, family members were arrested for celebrating New Year's Eve in their own home. Every large institution in Canada pretends like all of this is perfectly normal. It's always been this way. Canadian media, which are largely controlled by the government, support these policies and Trudeau uncritically. In Nova Scotia, protests against Justin Trudeau's vaccine mandates are now banned by law. Rarely has a nation changed this quickly or more unequivocally for the worse. And last week, thousands of Canadian truckers reached their limit. A convoy of truckers converged on the capital city, Ottawa, to demand, peacefully, cheerfully, but persistently, an end to Justin Trudeau's tyranny. Justin Trudeau's response to this display of democracy, he fled the city. Trudeau evacuated his official residence and hid in an undisclosed location. He is still cowering there tonight. Will he come back? Has he abdicated? Will Canada be ruled by a junta of truckers? Well, not at this point. He emerged by video conference from his lair to declare that Canadian citizens who disagree with him are in fact attacking democracy. Watch.
There is a right to protest. There is a right to make your voices heard loudly and clearly. But there is not a right to shut down our democracy or our democratic processes. There is not a right to abuse, intimidate, and harass your fellow citizens.
So expressing your views is an attack on democracy. And by the way, how dare you express your views as if you were free people? That's tyranny. Democracy is when you obey like serfs. Trudeau just effectively said that. And then because he has no self-awareness whatsoever, Trudeau announced that he's contracted COVID, which is perfect. In other words, take this shot or else, as you can see from the fact I am now sick, it works perfectly. If Canada weren't a country, it would be a remarkable dark comedy. So you may be wondering about these hordes of Visigoths who's descended on Ottawa, the ones who drove Justin Trudeau out of the city. What do they look like? Well, here they are.
I love you too.
Freedom, love, patriotic displays, waving Canadian flags, terrifying.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians